Hi, I'm Laura O'Callahan, and this is In the Garden with Laura. This season showcases some native plants that work well in the local landscape. I hope it helps you beautify your garden and support the wildlife around it. This episode features Rob Jenkins of Herring Run Nurseries, which is part of Blue Water, Baltimore. Hi, we're back here in Herring Run Nursery with Rob Jenkins to talk about ornamental trees and understory trees, which it's a fine distinction between the two, but there is a very real difference.
Indeed,
Rob,
there is.
can you tell us about what you have here and
Sure.
what you'd recommend?
We have three different understory trees, flowering trees. We have eastern redbud here on the end. We have a type of American dogwood right here in the middle, and on this end we have a cultivar of serviceberry called Autumn Brilliance. And there's a little bit of a debate about that being a tree, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So, all of these plants are going to do fine if they're in a shady spot. I mean, you drive down any of the highways in Maryland in the springtime, you're probably going to be seeing lots and lots of redbuds blooming along the sides, provided the highway crew hasn't mowed them down. You'll definitely see some dogwoods. Serviceberries, I haven't seen quite as many of those growing along the highways, but I definitely find them in the woods when I'm wandering around. So, redbuds tend to be a little bit wider. 15 to 20 foot or so tree is a mature size. Nice pink buds on them when they're pushing out in the springtime. They'll open up with little purple colored heart-shaped leaves that turn to this nice green. Great spread, great coverage, fantastic looking in your yard. And if you have a spot that's got a lot of sun, that's fine too. If you want to put them in the shade, they're happy wherever. So
they might even, excuse me, they might be an ornamental and an understory tree.
Absolutely, absolutely. You put them into the shade as an understory tree, they're going to stretch out. They're not going to give as much width as you would have if they were potentially in the side of your yard or in the front of your house as a specimen tree, but they are fine in both spots. So the dogwood, now this particular variety, and I have to say, I think dogwoods are common and overused, but that being said, if you're going to get a dogwood, I would recommend a variety like this, which is called Appalachian Spring. It's a fantastic white flowering dogwood, American dogwood, but it has the added benefit of having a bit more resistance to anthracnose than your standard American dogwood. So for aesthetics, I think that's important. Again, this is going to do fine if you put it in a shadier spot. It's going to stretch out a bit. It's going to grow a little slower, and that's going to be true of pretty much anything you put into a lot of shade. But it's going to do well in those shady areas. You can put it into some spots in your yard where you maybe have a little bit more sun. Personally, I don't like to put the American dogwoods into full sun, but I have had one in my yard that was getting about 1/2 to 3/4, and it performed well. A little bit of pruning for both the dogwood and the redbud are good. Not necessary, but if you want to, nothing wrong with doing a little maintenance. Now we come to the serviceberry. I really like the serviceberry. They have great flower color. You're going to get the berries on them. You're providing sustenance for the wildlife. You're going to get great aesthetics with this tree, shrub. That's the great debate, is whether it's a tree or a shrub. In my mind, serviceberry is basically a giant shrub. It has a lot of basal growth, as you can see, and it's almost always multi-trunked. If you really wanted to, you can treat it like you would, say, a crepe myrtle. Limit up from here down, give yourself those bare trunks, and you have more of a canopied look. Really, is it a tree? Not so much, but it's a fantastic plant to put in as an understory for an understory planting. You can't go wrong with the color, you can't go wrong with the flowers, and you can't go wrong with the berries. Absolutely wonderful.
And this has beautiful white flowers, right?
Yes, white flowers, reddish colored berries, and a reddish purple color in the fall. That's the draw to the autumn brilliance, is it is going to have that really fantastic fall color.
And dogwoods, of course, have white flowers.
Yes.
Unless some have pink.
Some have pink. This particular variety, this particular cultivar has white flowers, and then the red bud is pink flowers. There's a little bit of variation in the different varieties. You can have a little bit darker, a little bit lighter, but they're almost always pink. Although there is a white flowering red bud. So.
Great. Well, thank you so much for
You're welcome. Thanks for
telling
coming
us
out.
about them.